That report was from our religious affairs correspondent Caroline Wyatt, and it does give us a sense of what Jews in the UK are feeling about the rise of anti-Semitism. But what do they think about the state of Israel's offensive in Gaza? And what are they not saying? Let's talk to Hannah Weisfeld, who is director of Yachad, which is a pro-Israel, pro-peace movement of British Jews. She joins me here in the studio. Welcome to NewsHour, Hannah. Give us a sense of what it is that you think is not being said, because it seems to me that there is the biggest debate internally inside the Jewish communities in the diaspora is that there is a connection between criticism of Israel and anti-Semitism. Therefore, nobody will criticise Israel.
I don't think it's the case that no one will criticise Israel. I think when tensions are heightened, as they are today, people feel really nervous about saying anything which is going to separate them from the community. And so, especially in light of the increase in anti-Semitism, there is a sort of desire to say, well, you know, I'm either going to keep quiet about what I think, or I'm just going to sort of march behind what the mainstream Jewish community is saying. So what you don't hear, for example, at the moment, is a very public debate about how we move on from this war and how you look forward. So on the basis that this is the third time this war has been fought in 6 years, there isn't that much of a conversation going on in our community today about how we don't find ourselves back here 2 years from now.
Are you saying that debate is not taking place at all, or it's just not taking place publicly?
It's not taking place publicly right now. I think in moments of peacetime, you know, when there is a sort of a lower level of violence, it does take place more increasingly in the public domain. I think at the moment it's taking place around very anxiety-ridden family conversations, people feeling very uncomfortable for lots of different reasons, either because they're feeling uncomfortable as Jews in light of what's happened and the backlash the Jewish community has got. They're feeling uncomfortable because they don't fully support Israel's actions, or they just feel deeply distressed by the images on their television. I think a lot of that conversation is happening behind closed doors and not in the public domain.
So what is it that you would be prepared to say publicly that you're only currently saying privately?
Well, I can tell you, for example, what we've been doing as an organisation is that we came out, you know, probably 2 weeks into this war and galvanised the Jewish community and thousands of people to stand up and say we think there should be a ceasefire and an urgent resumption of long-term peace negotiations. And over 1,000 people signed that letter. Many of them were rabbis, and I think it was really a sign of the fact that there were people looking for a space in the public domain to say, actually, we are concerned. And until we launched that letter, it hadn't existed at all.
An indication of how sensitive this issue is for Jewish communities in the diaspora is manifest in an advert that the Jewish Chronicle newspaper in this country carried of the Disasters Emergency Committee. This is a group of charities, and it was a national and international appeal for humanitarian assistance for the people of Gaza. The Jewish Chronicle felt that they had to apologise for placing that advert in their newspaper. I mean, that, in a way, for many people listening, would be maybe an apology too far, because there's a difference, isn't there, between saying we don't endorse what the Israeli government's doing, but we have empathy for the Palestinian people.
Absolutely. And I think what's very important to be clear about is that they didn't apologise for placing the advert. They apologised for having offended some of their readership. I think what's important here is to note that there are many people inside the Jewish community that desperately want to reach out across the divide. It is often the way that a vocal minority who are very exercised about something will force an apology upon something like the Jewish Chronicle. And I think that we have to be careful here about not painting the Jewish community as lacking compassion, because I think many people, even if they think that everything that Israel has done is right, are concerned and distressed by the humanitarian impact of the conflict.
Hannah Weisfeld from Yachad, thanks very much indeed for coming into the NewsHour studio.